So the lesson is about markup. These terms were given to you. So let's have the objectives. The first is to understand and use the detailing equation. So using the terms given to you, what equation can we make of those terms? Next, calculate percent markup based on cost. The next objectives are similar to this, where the markup is based on cost. And the next one also. The next three objectives are about markup based on selling price. So these three are similar to each other. And lastly, you will convert percent markup based on cost to percent markup based on selling price and vice versa. So let's have the terms again. Cost of goods sold. So these are the costs of the merchandise sold during an operating period. Examples of this say, if you are in a manufacturing business, you have to buy those ingredients to make one product. Next term, operating expense or overhead. So aside from the ingredients, you will consider other expenses like the one listed. Payroll for the staff or for the salary of the workforce, rent of the space, utilities like electric, water, or telephone, and insurance. Next term is markup. So definition is the amount added to the cost of an item to cover the operating expenses and profit. Again, added to the cost of an item based on the cost of the item only. And we consider the operating expenses and profit as part of the markup. We have this simple formula. Markup is equal to expenses or operational expenses plus profit. Okay. Next term is the detailing equation, which is the selling price. So selling price is equal to the cost plus the markup. So our formula, SP, selling price, is equal to cost plus markup. So we will practice this formula in the next 3 slides. So to illustrate, if a crystal figurine costs a retailer 3,000 pesos and 2,500 markup is added, the selling price of the figurine will be blank. So using the formula, our cost is 3,000 pesos. Then our markup price is 2,500. Adding the two figures, the result is 5,500. So the selling price of the figurine will be 5,500. Another example. So a gift store pays 320 pesos for a picture frame. If a markup of 270 is added, what is the selling price of the frame? Using the equation, the cost is 320, the markup is 270, so the selling price is 590 pesos. Next item. Office Squares buys graphical calculators from Singapore for $52 Singaporean dollars and 50 cents. If they are sold for 79.95 Singaporean dollars, what is the amount of the markup? So in this equation, the missing is the markup amount. So substituting the cost, which is 52.50, and the selling price, which is 79.95, what is this number that should be added to 52.5 to get the selling price? So using your calcu, the answer is 27.45 Singaporean dollars. Last example, a grocery store sells 3-in-1 white coffee for 220 pesos per pack. If the markup on this item is 88 pesos, how much did the store pay for the coffee? So in this case, the missing is the cost of the white coffee. So substituting the values, the cost is missing, the markup is 88 pesos, and the selling price is 220. So the number that should be added to 88 to make it 220 pesos is 132 pesos. So the cost of the 3-in-1 white coffee is 132 pesos. So it's your turn to practice using these equations. I have 3 practice problems that will help you use the equation or understand the equation. So let's solve the first item. The second item, and the third item. So you should know which is the cost, which is the markup amount, and which is the selling price. Substituting those, and make sure you answer what is being asked. Let's now go to the next objective, the markup based on cost. So the definition is, when you see the price markup based on cost, that is, the cost is 100% and the markup is expressed as a percent of that cost. So let's have an example. The example will be using this table. A manufacturer produces stainless steel sinks at a cost of 2,800 pesos. If the sinks are sold to distributors for 4,450 each, what are the amount of the markup and the percent markup based on cost? So, the cost is 2,800. The sinks are sold to this amount. So this is the selling price. So the missing, based on our equation, is the markup amount. And then later, we'll have the percent markup based on. So what is this markup amount? That will be added to 2,800 to get the selling price for 450. So it is 1,650. So using the table, let's fill in the figures. So first is 2,800 as the cost, 4,450 as the selling price. So again, we computed the markup amount. It is 1,650. The next question is, what is the percent markup based on cost? So this is markup based on cost. So we will assign 100% to the cost and say X is the missing, the percent markup based on cost. So to easily solve this one, we will use ratio and proportion. So the figures inside the box, they form a proportion. So 100 over X is equal to 2,800 over 1,650. Performing cross multiplication, you will get the markup rate is approximately 58.93%. So for your practice, let's now go to the next objective. Calculate selling price when cost and percent markup based on cost are known. Example, a watch costs 2,500 to produce. If the manufacturer wants a 70% markup based on cost, what should be the selling price of the watch? So the table, a watch costs 2,500, so the cost is 2,500. If the manufacturer wants a 70% markup based on cost, so 70% is the rate for markup. What should be the selling price of the watch? So it is markup based on cost. So for the cost, we will have 100%. What should be the selling price of the watch? So that is our X. The selling price, the rate in the selling price is 170%. How did I get this figure? I simply added 170. Now there's this rectangle. The numbers that you will be using will form a proportion. In this case, since it's a large rectangle compared to the previous one, we will not consider or we will not use 70. So we have a proportion here. 100 over 170 is equal to 2,500 over X. Cross multiplication again. The selling price of the watch is 4,250. So again, you have to practice this objective, and this is the item for you. Let's now go to the fourth objective. You have to calculate costs when selling price and percent markup based on costs are known. So the problem is, the clothing store sells a blouse for 1,350. The selling price is 1,350. If a 50% markup based on cost, so 50% is our markup rate, and based on cost, so we have 100% on cost. What is the cost of the blouse? So X is here, aligned with the cost. The rate in the selling price is the sum of these two. So we have 150%. Again, let's have the rectangle. So it's a large rectangle, so we will not use the 50% markup rate in our proportion. The proportion is, and performing cross multiplication, the cost of the item is 900 pesos. It's your turn. Practice item number 6. The next set of items are based on selling price. The definition is, when you see the phrase markup based on selling price, 100% is assigned to the rate of the selling price. So you will calculate percent markup based on selling price in this item. So DIY store purchases electric deals for 3,120 each. If it sells the deals for 5,400 pesos, what is the amount of markup and the percent markup based on selling price? So using the equation, what should be added to 3,120, the cost, to get the selling price of 5,400? So let's fill in the table. The cost is 3,120. The selling price is 5,400. So the amount of markup is 2,280. Again, the markup amount is 2,280. So when you add this number to 3,120, you'll get the selling price of 5,400. The percent markup is based on selling price. What is the percent markup based on selling price? So X is the percent markup, 100% for the rate on the selling price. Again, let's have the rectangle. And the proportion is this one. Cross multiplication, you will get 42.22% as the markup rate based on selling price. Your turn. Next item. Furniture store purchases wall units from the manufacturer for 3,025. If the store policy is to mark up all merchandise 60% based on the selling price, what is the retail selling price of the wall units? So let's have the table. The first figure is 3,025. So that is our cost. Next is the 60% markup based on selling price. So markup rate is 60%. $100 is assigned to the rate of the selling price because it is markup based on the selling price. And the question is, what is the retail selling price of the wall units? So X is for this one. We are adding the rate on this to get 100%, or simply 40. Now, let's have the rectangle. It's a large rectangle, so we won't be using the 60 in our proportion. So we have this proportion, cross multiplication. The selling price of the wall units is 7,562.50. Your turn. Next item about markup based on selling price. So this time, you will calculate the cost of the item when selling price and percent markup based on selling price are known. So let's have the table. A buyer for a chain of boutiques is looking for a line of dresses to retail for 6,200 pesos. If a 40% markup based on selling price is the objective, what is the most buyer can pay for these dresses and still get the intended markup? So we have 6,200 as the selling price. So to retail for 6,200 pesos. Markup rate is 40%. We have 40 here. Since it is based on the selling price, 100% is on this one. What is the most buyer can pay for these dresses and still get the intended markup? So we are looking for the cost of an item. So let's have X here. Again, just like the previous item, what should be added to 40 to get 100? And that is 60. The rectangle, we don't need 40 in our proportion. So 60 over 100 is equal to X over 6,200. Cross multiplication, then we will get this one. The cost is 3,720 pesos. It's your turn. For our last objective, we will be using these formulas. The objective is to convert between markup types. So from markup based on cost to percent markup based on selling price, and from markup per percent markup based on selling price 2% markup based on cost. So, you were reminded in your book that the formula should be minus. So, kindly correct the one in your textbook. So, it should be minus. So, let's solve the first item or first formula. If a book case is marked up 60% based on cost, what is the corresponding percent markup based on selling price? So, by substitution, so the percent markup based on cost is 60%, then 100% plus 60%, then we have this one. For your practice, and the other formula, an external drive is marked up 25% based on the selling price. What is the corresponding percent markup based on cost? So by substitution, 25% over 100% minus 25%. And the result is 33.33%. Last item of your practice is this one. So your one whole yellow paper will be submitted or is due on September 5. It's all about markup. Next video is about, or next PowerPoint is about mark on and mark down. Thank you guys.